I thought it was just a quirk of the apartment, a strange leftover from a previous tenant. But I was wrong. When I first moved in, everything seemed fine. New space, fresh start. This place should have felt like freedom. The walls were painted a dull beige. The floors creaked a little underfoot, but nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing that should have made me feel uneasy. But then I saw it. That old mirror in the hallway. It was large, framed in ornate gold, with twisting patterns that seemed to pull your eyes into them if you stared too long. It looked ancient, and it was too heavy for an apartment like this, too grand, like it had been meant for a palace or a mansion. I told myself it didn't matter. People leave behind odd things when they move, right? Maybe the last tenant was just too lazy to haul it out. But even then, I couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't just a piece of furniture. I avoided looking at it too long. There was something about the mirror that set my teeth on edge. Every time I passed by, I could feel my gaze tugged toward it, like something was pulling me in. For the first few days, everything was fine. I was still getting settled in, unpacking, boxes, figuring out the quirks of the place. The mirror was just there. I'd pass it as I moved from one room to another, and sometimes I'd catch a glimpse of myself. Nothing unusual. The reflection was normal. Just me, wearing a tired frown from all the unpacking. But then the shadows started. It was subtle at first. I'd be walking down the hall, mind on something else, when I'd notice a flicker from the corner of my vision. A shadow like a smudge creeping along the edges of the mirror. At first I thought it was just the light playing tricks, or maybe the dust from the old frame shifting. I convinced myself it was nothing, but the flickers came more often. I could see them even when I wasn't looking directly at the mirror, something moving just at the edge of the reflection. Too fast to catch, too fleeting to understand. It wasn't much, just a dark shape shifting behind me. I tried to ignore it. But then one evening, after a long day at work, I stood in front of the mirror while I adjusted my tie. My reflection was too clear, too crisp. But that's what mirrors do, right? That's the point. But then just for a second, my reflection didn't move like I did. It was subtle. Too subtle. A fraction of a second slower, like a shadow falling out of sync with the rest of the world. I froze, heart thudding in my chest. Was I imagining it? I took a deep breath and shrugged it off. The place was old. Old houses did that. At least that's what I told myself. But the next day was different. I didn't want to go near the mirror, but I had no choice. I had to pass it every time I left. My apartment. I was making coffee in the kitchen when I saw it. A figure standing behind me in the mirror. It wasn't just a shadow, not some blur of movement. No, it was a full figure. Me, but not quite. The face in the reflection. It was wrong. The smile on my reflection's face wasn't mine. It was stretched too wide, in a way that made my stomach churn, and the eyes, my eyes, looked empty. Hollow. The thing in the mirror didn't move. It didn't blink. It just stood there, staring. I spun around, but there was nothing. Just the empty kitchen behind me and the silence of the apartment pressing in. I reached out for the nearest towel, wiping my face as if I could erase the image I'd just seen. No, it was nothing. Just a trick of the light. But as I turned back to the mirror, I felt a tug in my chest. The reflection was still there, still smiling. I stepped back, my feet unsteady on the cold floor. My reflection stayed rooted in place, that horrible grin still wide, like it was savoring some dark joke. I couldn't tear my eyes away. It was me, but not me, and yet I couldn't look away, couldn't stop myself from feeling like it was alive. Shut my eyes. When I opened them again, the mirror was empty. I rushed past it, my heart slamming in my chest, but even as I turned away, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me. From behind me. From the mirror. The next few days were hell. I couldn't stop thinking about it. The reflection. That thing. It never left my mind. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. The grin kept coming back, twisting and widening in my mind. It was waiting for me. I didn't care if it was irrational or childish. I wasn't going to stand in front of it anymore. But the reflection didn't need a mirror to haunt me. It started showing up in every reflective surface I could find. My phone, the toaster, the bathroom tap. The reflection wasn't just an image anymore. It had a presence. It was always there, lurking in the background, creeping into everything. And it was smiling. It was never the same smile. Sometimes it was that same stretched, awful grin. Other times, the face in the reflection would contort into something else, something worse. Eyes too wide, mouth too sharp, limbs too long. Each time I saw it, it was more distorted, more grotesque, more wrong. At night, I covered the mirrors with sheets, hoping it would stop, but it never did. The worst part? The reflection started to move. And it wasn't just moving like I was. It started moving on its own. I caught myself staring in the bathroom mirror one night, brushing my teeth. It was one of those moments when you look at your reflection without really thinking about it, and then you feel it. The wrongness. The way your own face doesn't look like it belongs to you. And as I spat out the toothpaste and wiped my mouth, the reflection did it too, but it did it slower, jerking its movements as if it were mocking me. I tried to look away, but it wouldn't let me. The reflection stayed with me, mimicking my every movement, but now, it was moving in ways I didn't. It started making me do things. Small things at first, tilting my head in ways that made my neck ache, touching my face in ways that made my skin crawl. But then it was bigger, more deliberate. I felt its hands inside my own, pushing me into actions I couldn't control. One night, I stood in front of the mirror, staring into my own eyes, and I realized something that made my blood run cold. It was taking over. I tried everything. I smashed the mirrors, every single one of them. I threw furniture at them, I covered them in cloths, it didn't matter. No matter what I did, the reflection was always there, slipping through cracks, finding its way into any surface that reflected. And then it started talking. I couldn't hear it with my ears first, but I could hear it in my mind, soft whispers that scratched and clawed their way through my thoughts. It was like I was hearing something from inside my own skull, a voice that wasn't my own. "You don't belong here," it hissed. It became louder, more insistent, a suffocating pressure in my head, telling me that I was never supposed to be the one in control. It had always been the reflection, the thing that was me, but not me, and now it was going to take its place. I tried to fight back, I screamed, I punched, I clawed at my own face, but the reflection didn't even flinch. It only smiled wider, more satisfied, as it took over. I saw it. In the mirror, that final moment as the grin stretched impossibly wide, and then there was nothing. It was me. Or at least it was the version of me that was still able to write this down. Maybe you're wondering who I am, or what happened to me. But I can't really answer that anymore. I'm not sure if I'm the one writing this or if it's the reflection, the imposter who's been walking around in my place, twisting my thoughts, making me think I'm still me. You won't find me in the apartment anymore. It's empty now. But if you look carefully in the right kind of light, just the right angle, you might see me, standing there in the mirror, grinning. Or you might see someone else. If you look close enough, you might notice that the smile isn't mine. So next time you face a mirror, don't be surprised if your reflection stays still while you move.